So, okay.
Should I go ahead and start?
Yeah. Did you need to share your screen or no? We're good. We're just gonna.
Uh, I think yeah, I think just so everybody understands like what I'm looking at and stuff.
I gave you access to share screen.
Okay, cool, thank you. So share screen. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is one where a wholesaler brought the deal to us. Um, so the wholesaler brought the deal to us. We took on over, we bought the deal from the wholesaler. We did the analysis of how much it's going to cost to put into the property. We renovated the property and then we ended up selling the property. The reason I wanted to bring this case study up is because um, in different parts of the business, there's different ways that you can make errors, right? Um, Initially, when we bought this property, I don't have the exact numbers. I mean, I could probably look it up. 13202. So Redfin is like user friendly for like looking up transaction history of properties. So you can take a look at the property at like what what price we bought it and then what price we sold it at. 13202. Platinum. And this is actually one of the properties that we were door knocking like in the same street with Candace. So we bought this. If you go all the way down, it'll tell you the transaction history. That's what it was. Yep. So we bought it for 262, 300. We estimated about $40 or $40,000 to $50,000 to put into the property. So this price right here only reflects what the deed is written at, but whenever you buy property, there's always going to be transfer recordation and taxes. So if you add another 10K, that'll be your kind of like all your expenses. And when a wholesaler brings you a deal, most of the time you end up paying for all closing cost fees. So if you add so you add 10K to that, that'd be 272. So all in, we're already at 272. And also sometimes if you get hard money lender or a private money lender, they'll add points to that. And those points need to be paid up front. If you have a gator, that's going to be on there. So, and the interest rate as well too. The interest rate sometimes will be paid up front, or the first 2-3 months will be paid up front, depending on what your private money lender wants to do. So you need to account for that when you're going to the closing table. So we ended up selling this one at 327, and I wanted to show you the document. So this here is the appraisal report. So when we put it on the market, we had multiple contracts, and one of the contracts had a higher price. and it was a VA loan. And I told the seller, like, hey, these are the pros and cons about VA loan, you know. Well, it's a fully rehabbed house. And I explained to the investor, like, I get it, but the VA loans, you know, it's very one directional on how they think and their process and everything else. If they want something fixed, it needs to get fixed. And also their appraisers come in on the low side. And I wanted to show everybody, like, this is an appraisal report. So this is, we bought the house, we rehabbed the house, and then we put the house on the market, and it was on the market. We got multiple offers, and one of the offers was a higher price than a different offer, which was a conventional loan, and it was a VA loan, and we had a VA appraiser come out while we were under contract. So they're obviously going to have like their, and you can see right here, it says the Veterans United Home Loans, VA. And here's the date. And this is the invoice, the W-9, the license. They always have to have a license. Just make sure it's valid. E&O declarations. And then the actual report. The appraisal report sometimes will be 150 pages. Sometimes it'll be 20 pages. Sometimes it'll be like 10 pages. So it all depends on who your appraiser is. And each bank has their own appraisal. And an appraiser is a licensed evaluator, a licensed personnel who goes and evaluates the property to the sense. So they get the market conditions, they look at all the closed contracts, they look at all the potentials, all the ones that are on sale, all the ones that are under contract. They check the permits, and then they check the property. That way they gave a proper representation of what that value of that property is. So here it is, 13202 Putnam Circle. It's for the VA loan. The opinion of value they gave to us was 325. And we have to find out why they gave us a low opinion. And you typically find that in, this is more info about the property right here. Uniform Residential Appraisal Report. And it talks about the subject property, everything about the property. The contract sales price was $342. The neighborhood, is it up and coming? Description, the site, the zoning, water, sewer, everything about the property. And then the improvements. And I can send this report if you guys want to take a look at it. That way you guys can study it. So they also have their sales approach, their comps, the comps that they use. And they have a 345, they have a 325, they have a 328. And then this is our sales price. We were selling this property for $342,000 because this other comp sold for 345 and ours looked a lot better. So when we go all the way down to this reconciliation, this is the most important part of the entire report. It's called the reconciliation. And that pretty much says what this appraiser's opinion of value is for the bank that the buyer used. And in this case, they value the property at $325,000. And it is officially valued December 12th, 2020. The appraisers have a database where whenever they record something, it's like an appraisal database that even if we put this back on the market, another appraiser will be able to take a look at that report and valuation. And the case study that I wanted to do with you guys, with everybody, is that even though you plan let me stop sharing. So even though you plan for best case scenario, it's best to always have like your set of comps whenever you're rehabbing the property. And also, you know what I should have done for this one is I should have met the appraisal at the job site, at the property, and then been like, just a second set of eyes. These are my comps for the properties that I pooled. And then they'll be able to take a look at that. But what ended up happening is because we did this offer had a higher price, and it had the appraiser as the appraisal contingency was as a negotiation. So the seller and the buyer had to come up with the difference. Whenever a end buyer waives the appraisal, the buyer has to come up with the difference because the bank is only going to lend so much. So in this case, it was like 325. That means whatever the difference is, the buyer has to come up with that money. But because our contract, the seller chose to pick a contract where the appraisal wasn't waived, now the profits ate up like for the seller as far as that difference in price. So that's a case study when it comes to evaluating your property and then doing the rehab and on the back end once everything is done. Things like that can happen. Does anybody have any questions?
So Javier, what happens if you go into an area that it's hard to find comps? Like in Baltimore, sometimes it's hard to find comps. Like the property that I'm looking at, I only found one comp on Privy. So so what happens if there's limited comps in the area?
So I mean, comping is an art, and you want to use closed transactions.
Yes, that's what I did.
For the properties that are very like apple to apple. So 3-bedroom, 2 in the same neighborhood. And the reason we use closed transaction is because the seller, walked away with $1 and the buyer came with $1, meeting of the minds, and the transaction happened. And in a situation where there's little to no comps, you would try to stay in the same neighborhood, and then you would backdate the date to a different date to get the comps. In Baltimore, it's very dense, so it's easier to do. So instead of going back 3 months, this is Javier, I would go back like 6 months and find 3-bedroom, 2 baths in that same neighborhood. And then whatever sold 6 months ago, I would add like 10K. And if I have to go back 9 months, 3-bedroom, 2 bath in the same neighborhood, I would add like 15K. So you kind of gotta like estimate what that valuation, because if that house 9 months ago sold today, what price would that sell? And that's kind of like what you have to guess.
Okay.
Of course, make sure the condition's the same. And all that other stuff, because if my house is a little bit better and then that other house sold 9 months ago and the condition's not up to par to the subject property, then not only do I have to account for the 15K difference, which I think would be 15K difference based on the market, but I also have to account for the condition of the property.
Okay.
So good question.
That's why I'm glad we have Luke.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. And if there's 10 of us on this Zoom call, there's 10 different versions on how we do comps.
Yes. And that was a great case study, Javier, because first of all, you're showing the appraisal, you're showing that the numbers change based on somebody else's and appraiser's opinion, which is way tougher than, you know, how we would judge and value a property, especially a veteran appraisal. So you got to know what kind of financing you're dealing with and the nuances of the financing. Now, I do have an out-of-state case study that I got from Barry, and it's a creative deal. I'm not sure if we're ready for that, but I don't know what you have next.
Yeah, no, we're ready.
We have
Okay.
a question in the chat, guys.
Let's go to the chat. Chat.
I think this was a traditional sale.
Is the property pre-foreclosure expired listing from the wholesale? It was a pre-foreclosure.
Okay.
So the property was a pre-foreclosure and very similar. They were about to go into auction. We paid off the arrears and then took the property as a cash sale. You know, which still, don't get me wrong, like there was like 100K margin. You know, but still like yeah, 20K goes a long ways when the margins are tight. All right, is there any more questions?
Hey, Jael, which one of those properties you were talking about? The creative one?
Oh, sorry. Do you remember 3404 Cedar Road in Cleveland? The one that said 99K?
Yeah.
You still working on that?
No, they actually put it back out on the market. I
Yes,
haven't.
it's still for sale.
Yeah. The individual swore up and down that, well, he was looking for funding,
Right.
right? And the repairs were like 70K. But when we were looking at the comparables, you know, when I looked at them and when you looked at them, it just didn't track what he was saying and what the realtors were saying.
Yep.
And when I started
That's why I
looking at,
want to show the team that, because you have to do your own due diligence. And also, you guys, it can be a little bit challenging looking at out-of-state properties, especially with creative on top of that. But if it's a funding situation, we have to protect our investors and do another level of due diligence. So this is what I do for my mom. If someone asks her for money, I'm going to go deep dive no matter what market the property is in, and I'm going to go in even without having MLS access to really do a deep dive of the property and synopsis. So I first want to show you guys the subject property, and then I want to show you the CMA that Barry got, which is, I mean, wow. So let me see if I can pull it up. I pulled up everything.
okay, that's why we need unicorn agents, not regular agents.
Yeah, and people can manipulate CMAs. So guys, if you're getting a CMA, do not think that that is accurate. They are going to manipulate the data into a way that makes sense for them to sell you the property if they're not a very honest agent. So this is the subject property, guys. And if you guys want to follow along and use the address, maybe I'll just drop the addresses so you can pull it up on your computers. So it's been listed on the market for what, like 100 and something days before they took it down and put it off. So guys, beware of that trick too. When you see something that looks like it's a new active, this thing has been on the market for like 6 months, and then they just took it down and relisted it to start the days on market over at the same exact price that it didn't sell for. Okay. So this is the house, a great house, but we already were saying we need to know how much work this home needs. And the biggest thing with large houses, you all, is that there is a really large renovation cost. And I know Javier can speak to that. because everything needs to be done. You got to think about drywall, flooring for the square footage, paint, the roof, the major systems. So it's not always just what the eye can see. What if we find some mold, some structural damage? That can really eat into your budget. Even cleaning up the siding. What about the exterior? I don't know a lot of people buying this color blue houses in this market, I don't know, maybe in Cleveland, but in our market, this would be almost a tough sale because of what it looks like on the outside. So this is the house. Now let's dive into this CMA that this agent, and of course, you guys, we don't want to discredit any agent, so I'm not gonna dwell on who she is, but I am gonna dig into the CMA. So let me go to Barry. You said that they told you the ARV was between 265 and 270, verified by 2 realtors, 3 bed, 3 bath, 21 square feet with the basement. So another thing you guys need to pay attention to is if it says above grade square footage, that means the basement square footage is not included. Sometimes people's homes haven't been assessed by an appraiser in such a long time that their basement square footage, if they've done renovations since appraised, has not been included in their total square footage. So you really want to pull up public record to see if there's additional square footage in the basement. So they told Barry as well, the rehab is about 70K scope of work. And of course, we like to say, well, please send me over the contractor's quote. Give me a couple of quotes from contractors so I could see the breakdown of what they want to fix, because maybe they didn't want to redo the roof that we might want to redo, which is a heavy cost. Maybe the AC is out and they didn't include replacing the HVAC, which is a hefty cost. So you got to ask a lot of questions and ask for documentation. So I was like, you know what, Barry, let's just do our own analysis. I'm going to look at the CMA, but I'm also just going to use Zillow. You guys, these are the tools from your computer that you can use to analyze this property. So let's dig into the CMA. First of all, 76 pages. That's a red flag because the CMA does not need to be that long for this property. Because guess what it does? If you confuse, you will lose. An average person that is not an agent is going to be overwhelmed with the CMA this large. Half of the comps have nothing to do with this property. Some of them are super old, super far away. No, actually, I did give her credit that everything was kind of local. So everything was in a mile radius, but still we can cross major roads in a mile radius. Okay, so let's get to the house. Look, we haven't even got to the houses yet, y'all.
Yeah. Also, be advised, I got the second CMA. I didn't send it to you from a different one, but it's the same. No, I ain't gonna say nonsense, but it's the same confusing data.
They flooded you with information that most of it isn't relevant to this property.
Yeah.
So she did add a comps map, but I don't see the houses that she picked in the comps map. So it's just a couple of dots here. So here are the comps. Let's see if I can. Okay, guys. So of course they're showing Barry, the ones that sold in the 3s, stuff like that.
And those are still active, those ones in the middle.
Yes. So that's
Because-
what I want to highlight.
Yeah.
Active is a fairy tale, you all, because we do not know what that property is truly going to sell for. Pending is also, it could be higher or lower. And she's showing us a pending at 175. I guess she's trying to show Barry an as-is property is going for 175. Look at this. These have more bedrooms. It's not just an exact comp here. We have more or less square footage, which is okay if you can't find comps. But when you go down and you see 80 comps, you can eliminate some of these to make it more clear for the person that you're trying to convey the price to and the after repair value to. Okay. They are all in the subtype AG2. And then this is going to show you how far away these properties are. But again, these are actives. We only have one that closed. And then I went to see how far away this property was from this one. So that's something, I do just to map it out on my own. And this is the closed one. So this is another active at 339. Three bed, 1.5. Let me see what year built. 1920. Okay. This one is the same as built in 1920, so that was pretty accurate. Lot size is double what ours is. This one is 8,000 square feet. Our lot size is 4,000. That is going to be significantly different in price, guys. We have half the amount of land that this property has. Bathroom count is the same, but this one does have an additional bedroom. Okay. So then we have another one at 310. Again, this lot is bigger than ours. 1920, same year built, and it does have a 2-car garage. We don't have a garage, do we, guys?
Yep, it does.
It does?
It's in the back though.
Okay, so I didn't know that. This is a pending. So I'm guessing that this is an as-is sale. Pull it up. Let's see if it'll convey like that. It's still pending. Okay, so this is one as is that it's going for 175, but we don't know because it's still pending. It's been a while since we looked at this one, Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we don't know what it'll sell for. So we want to start looking at what has sold in the area. Actives, actives, active still. More active properties, active under contract. So all of this stuff, I may send him 3 actives when I'm sending the CMA, just so he can see what people are listed for and what, you know, what they're trying to get for the property. But there's no need to send this many actives because it can skew somebody's view of what the property will sell for. So now we're at 540K in active. I don't see how far away this one is from your property, Barry.
It's right there.
So it's across Cedar Lane, Cedar
Mhm.
Road. If we're not familiar with this area, we need to kind of check what are the difference between this neighborhood and this neighborhood, because that's a huge jump in price. Okay. No, we're still in the actives, y'all. I'm trying to get to the closed.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna,
Those are all pending. Yeah.
these are all pendings. So we still don't have accurate data of what is sold in the neighborhood yet. Javier, is this a super long CMA to you or?
All right. Yeah, so a couple things. You know, all agents don't have the mindset that we do, nor do they know, not all agents know how to be an agent. One thing I did notice about this report, a lot of the data here, the houses are completely different. Like
Yes.
it's not even the same layout of house, yet alone like the same size. If you just look at the pictures of all the different comps, our house is like small and tiny and the curb appeal, and then the other houses are like newer, taller, bigger.
How much land here? This is a multifamily, multiplex. Why is this in here? $899. But guess what? If this is a new investor, guys, we can almost skew their judgment here and kind of manipulate them into buying a property for more than what it's worth. So here we go with the closed transactions. We're finally at the closed. And it's, look at the data, it's all over the place with the numbers. So how can Barry honestly say, okay, this is what I should be paying for this property? By looking just at the numbers right here, y'all. Okay. So we'll get to each house, more closed transactions. So they told Barry that the ARV was between 240 and 270, right?
62, 70. Yeah.
So far, we have one that's at 248.
Yep.
Okay, this is pristine. Javier, from your professional opinion, looking at ours and looking at this one, and it has that same curb appeal lot size, and it looks like the garage is in the back, like Barry said. 248. This is the low end of what they said the ARV would be. How much work do you think they put in? How much money? Is it more than 70K? That's what I want to know from you.
What market is this?
This is Ohio.
Cleveland.
Ohio?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think they put easily, I mean, yeah, they definitely put like 60K of work into it, but they didn't change the roof. They didn't
Okay.
change the siding. They just painted the siding. I don't know about the mechanicals.
Gotcha. Let's read the description to see if they did the exterior stuff, but this looks really good.
Yeah, this is about 60K.
Okay. So that's good to know. I thought it would be more than that, looking at what they did. Okay.
Yes, I don't know.
But
The complete renovation, modern main classic charm. Fireplace, granite countertops, brand new. A private den fits into convenient half bath. No need to worry about outdated systems in this home as the plumbing and electrical have been completely updated. Furnace 2023. Central AC will ensure that you're comfortable. Location is key. Okay,
so it just says central AC will ensure that you're comfortable. It doesn't
that
say
didn't
that.
get redone.
Yep.
Okay. So 248. All right, so I did a deep dive and these are the comps that I found. And all I did was go on Zillow, in the zip code, and then I took my address and compared it to see how far away it was from the subject property. And I also wanted to make sure that it sold within 90 days because that would be the most accurate, comparables. And this is a similar home. Its house is right beside it, but I did not know that there was a garage in the back of the one with berries. So I'm not sure if this one has a garage or not.
So in a neighborhood like this, it might be like 50-50. Like half of them have garages, half of them don't. So the
Mhm.
appraiser is only going to give maybe an extra $5,000 for a garage.
Okay. And in this market, I didn't see anything that was super high-end luxury. It was just very clean, good paint, nice kitchen, everything like that. Bathrooms look good. And complete basement. Okay, so this is about the same size lot. Oh, and it does have a garage. This one 210. So this one was 1976 and ours was 1920. So this one is a little bit newer than the property that we were looking at, but it has less square footage. And I just like to pull the most conservative comps, especially if we're funding for it, because if another agent or buyer is looking in the area and they see these comps and they see the high comps, they're going to be looking at the lower end comps to say, this is the kind of offer I want to make on this property, because it still looks as good as the other properties, some of them that sold for 220, 248, but we didn't find anything that sold at the 270 mark that they were telling us. And all of the renovations in this area look like this. And then this one. Hold on, what was the last one? This is the one. And then I'll show you guys how you can use Zillow and online to look at these properties. Same lot size, same type of style house. This one is at 314 and sold in January. This one was staged. So usually staged homes sell for more money. This one looks really good, and staging costs a little bit more money. And it's sold at 314.
So this one also has new windows. The hardwood floors are on the higher end. The cabinets are on the higher end. The vanities are on the higher end. It looks
Oh.
like all the windows got replaced.
No garage. Looks like a new roof, right, Javier? Oh, it does
Mhm.
have a garage. It has the garage in the back. They redid everything on this one. So here is what I had said to Barry. You know, we want at least 3 comps, 5 minutes away, 3 minutes away, 2 minutes away. This one is 4 minutes away. It has 500 square feet more, full renovation with the 2-car garage. So conservatively, this is the highest one that we saw. So I was like, this is a dream, but you have to do everything else. You have to do all of the work, all of the renovations, brand new everything to get 314. So that's a great comp, but y'all, we don't want to look at one comp that you're trying to get to. You want to look at the lowest that you can get when you're doing a flip, because what if something goes wrong? What if your renovation budget goes up and you have other expenses that you didn't account for? And you just don't want to put all of your eggs in saying I might get 314, because right now what we're seeing with the interest rates that are increased, a lot of properties that are listed for more are getting a little bit less because of them having to pay so much interest on the money. So if you did it perfectly and you find the right family that's been looking for the house for a few months, then you may get over asking. But as lenders, and when we're looking to lend money to someone for a project, we want to be as conservative as possible. So the conservative ARV was 234,000, not 240 to 270. And anyways, we don't like ranges. Let's pick 3 comps. Let's add how much they sold for together and divide it by 3, and that should be your conservative ARV. So do you guys have any questions or comments or feedback?
I can,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, what, I kind of felt like this wasn't a deal, but I'm always going to present stuff.
Absolutely.
And you know, when I looked at it, when I was looking at it through, you know, Privy and some other applications, I noticed that everything that was on the right side of Taylor Road, which runs between
Yeah.
where our subject property, those houses, they sold, you know, pretty well.
Nice
But
neighborhood.
everything on our side, I was not seeing, you know, 220 was the highest I saw that sold.
Mhm.
So to me, it does make a difference where you're located at, you know, from neighborhood to neighborhood. Even though it says it's the same zip code,
Mhm.
there was something that didn't seem right to me on this side versus on this side of that major road. And so
And
when I
that's
was
hard to know as
yeah,
somebody that's out of state. We wouldn't know that. We have to do a really deep dive and look at so many properties. Like I looked at it probably about 25 to 30 comps, y'all, to figure out which side I'm looking on. Then I had to map it out to see how far away the house was from the subject property, and then look on Google Maps to see where it landed. Because like Barry said, it's just like Baltimore. You can be in one neighborhood and then the next neighborhood is a total different property evaluation.
and that is, it's still a bank owned property. So the bank is trying to sell it.
Yes. and the bank usually wants all the money they can get. It's never really a deal when you're buying it from the bank. And if it was an FHA loan, I think they only can take 96% of what they're listed at. The lowest they can take is 96% of what they have it listed for.
Yeah. So
Does that matter, Javier, what kind of loan it was that they took over and what they're gonna resell it for?
Yes. So the FHA is a little bit harder because it's a government backed loan. So I mean, Jael's on spot on it. Like you can only negotiate so much. When it's a conventional loan, an example, it's a conventional loan, you can submit 3 different contractor bids. This is what I do. You can submit 3 contractor bids, be like, these are contractor bids to put it back on the market.
Yep.
And then they're able to negotiate the price.
Because guess what, guys? An agent or someone that works for the bank went out, evaluated the property, gave their opinion of how much renovation was needed, and they gave their comps to tell the bank, this is what you should list this property at. So people ask me all the time, should I buy foreclosures? I'm like, you're not going to get a great deal because the bank wants their money. So, I mean, you can very rarely, if it's been on for a year and they're like, finally, okay, we've got enough offers and we'll take this offer. But it's really rare that you get a great deal from a bank-owned property unless someone has valued it much less than what it's really valued for. And you see some type of pattern or trend in this market that it's on the upside and you buy it at the right time and then the property goes up. So if you really know a market and you see a bank-owned property and you know that you can renovate or add an addition to this home that's going to increase its value significantly, then I'd say that's a great buy. But if you just want to buy it and flip it from the bank, usually the numbers are pretty tight. Do you guys want to see kind of where I start on Zillow to kind of map out and find the properties that are comparables?
that'd be good to show.
Okay.
I think so. Thanks, Jael.
Okay, so out of state is always going to be just a little bit harder, but I don't want you all to be discouraged about it because at least you can get some information from Zillow and using the tools that are provided there. So here, Cleveland Heights, that's the neighborhood, but I usually start with the zip code because first we know it needs to be in the zip code. Then you can use filters. So I'm not going to be like that agent. I don't really care what's active and pending. I want to see what's sold. And the price, it doesn't matter because we want it to be as fair as possible. We want it to be 3+ beds, 3+ bathrooms. Oh, no, I can do 2+, I'm sorry. Home type. We have a single family home, so you just want to make it as easy as possible for yourself so that it's as close to what you have. But of course, if this is something that we're looking at that's distressed, we know that we could possibly add more bathrooms, more bedrooms. So 3+, 2+ is good because we already have 3 beds, we already have 2 baths. So let's say must have a garage because we have a garage.
Remember, it has a basement too.
It does.
Unfinished.
But do we want to look at, we're looking at ARV, so does it matter if
Right.
it's finished or unfinished? Maybe we leave that blank, but it
Gotcha.
should have a basement. Let's just look at both. Okay. So just like Barry said, we're in this zip code, he's seeing stuff at 210, 165, 200. It's a pretty good market if you want to get started investing. So we want to look at when did it sell? That's the most important for me. It was April 30th. So we know that this is a true comp if everything else looks good because it sold recently. You don't want to look at anything 6 months or more out. I really like to look at the last 90 days. But if it's more than if it's a rural area, you may have to look at 6 months or more. So just depending on what area you're in. Okay, this one is a 1965 build, central air, two garage. This lot is bigger than ours. And this sold for 210. And it's not like this high-end renovated house, but it is in pretty good condition. So what I like to do next, you guys, this one, it looks like it has more square footage than us. Yeah, so it's 2014. I think that this one is a little bit too high square footage wise, unless our basement hasn't been accounted for.
That includes the basement right there.
Okay, that includes the basement. So y'all, we're not gonna use this one. It's too big, too wide, not the same kind of house. Now this one, let's see one that looks like.
That one.
This one looks the most like ours, right?
Mm-hmm. Just a different color.
Yep, it has less square footage. Sold for 164 2 days ago. Looks like the market is going a little bit down than where we were on price a couple of months ago.
Mhm.
That's the scary part, guys. Guess close to our year built, 2-car garage, lot is only 1,000, 1,200 more than us. So this one is pretty close, but then we want to see how far it is away from our house. New paint, carpet, LVT flooring, updated ceiling fan, granite countertops, great cabinets, dishwasher. This is basically what the renovations look like in this area. So you also want to be familiar with the area. That's why I looked at about 25 to 30 properties. These renovations are more like Baltimore, whereas we're not looking at McLean, we're not looking at Tyson's, where we have top of the line everything and the renovations are just pristine. This is a great property. It looks good. Looks like someone did a flip. Of course, they didn't finish the porch, like little stuff like that, and doing the siding and painting it, but it has the garage. It has everything that ours does. Okay, so let's
Pretty much
see.
looks like
The
the
next
same
thing I
house.
do is I want to see how far away it is from our property. So I just open up Google and I say, boom, 2. Don't make it hard, guys. You don't have to go on maps. It'll do it for you.
Hmm.
And 2 minutes away, boom. That wasn't too bad. So you guess what, guys? Now I'm going to keep this one. So I'm going to start a new tab. I'm going to open Zillow again. And I'm just going to copy and paste this address, go back because this Zillow already has my filter. So my new tab, okay, I'm going to keep this one to the side. And what I did was I added this address to the email I had with Barry. And I said, sold on this date for this price. Here's the square footage. Here's the number of beds and baths. So that when I am conveying to him what I think about the properties, he can see exactly why I said that, what I said, when it's sold, and see that it's a comparable. So
Guys, that sold 2 days ago.
yes, so that is a
Mhm.
accurate comparable. But what if Barry would have bought that property for 99K? Took 3 months to renovate it at 70K and something went wrong. He had to put an extra 10K in. And now the properties are selling for 165. That is a nightmare. And this property is 2 minutes away. Buyers are really smart in this market. They are going to fact check. They're already looking on Zillow and Realtor before they even find an agent. They already know what they want. They know what the market is doing, and they're getting alerts from these sites. Hey, something just sold for 164. So they come to your listing at 270, and they're like, I don't think so, brother. I'm looking at more like 170, and that would kill your deal. So look at how quickly this market has shifted in just a couple of months, because guess what? The interest rates are continuing to rise. So now it's taking down the purchasing power, guys. But again, my filter is here. Now I'm going to be looking for more houses that look like ours, closer to the street. You know what I mean? Not too wide. Let's see if it has a garage. And again, just sold 4 days ago. Can't get more accurate than that. So
Yeah.
I want you guys to engage. I wanted to tell me what you took away from me and Javier. Tell us what you need help with still and what you need more clarity on. Because it takes practice, y'all. I know it was a lot, but this recording will share with you all so you can really deep dive into it, and then you'll be able to do a fairly quickly analysis. I like what Javier told us the other day too. Use the Zestimate from Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor. Use the average of those when you're just getting started and kind of see if it's anywhere near what they told you to begin with before you even deep dive into it. So that's a hack. So I don't
I
know
have
if
a quick,
Michelle can unmute.
I have a quick question. So say you have the same, like a similar house, but the fascia is different, like brick versus siding. Is that considered regarding, your numbers as well? When looking at comps?
Yes, siding, if they've renovated it, some people will put siding around the house, which is fairly easy to do. Even, can't they do it right on top of the brick? Because I'm looking at one they're doing down here on the street.
So just it depends on the neighborhood. Just go on Google Maps and just like, some maps will allow you to like walk the neighborhood, like on Google Maps. Just if every other house is brick, then there's no deviation. If every other house is siding and then yours is brick, the appraiser might evaluate that maybe $3,000 more.
Gotcha.
The appraiser evaluates everything based on square footage, bedrooms, and bathrooms, and then everything else has its own percentage.
Awesome. Great question, Ms. Karen. I don't know if Miss
Yeah.
Michelle can unmute.
Yeah, that was actually great, Jael. That's how I've been looking at when I do look at properties. That's how I've been doing it. So I feel better that I'm doing it at least halfway right.
Yeah, you got it. And look, and like Javier said, everybody's gonna pull different comps, but I'm always looking to the side of my investor and my lender where I want to look at the most conservative comps in this neighborhood that make sense. And if there are some on the high end, I will show them that too. But I want them to make an informed decision to say, is it more likely I'm gonna get this price or that price?
Mhm.
So I think you're doing a great job. It just comes with repetition. In some vicinities and neighborhoods will be easier to comp than others where there are no houses that look the same. So try to start with easy ones where all the houses are cookie cutter and they all look the same to start your comping journey. You say, okay, this street, this neighborhood has all the same exact townhome. Let's start comping here so that I can understand how to comp. And then you could try the hard ones once you get that down. Andy and Marcia?
No, no questions. I understand, what you're saying. But I know that, for the streets, for the exits, we wanted to know which is good for the house. Like after we do the comps, and then we're trying to figure out which exit strategy. So we want to learn that as well.
Absolutely. I think we should do that in another session. So what we'll do is, I think we want to give you guys some practice problems. We'll give you the address and that's going to be an out of state and one that's local. And then I want you guys to show your work. Here are my 3 comps. Here's what I think the ARV is. And here is how I would break down this. And you saw how I sent Barry the email with this is the square footage. I want you to show me everything, because when you have a deal, that's how you should send it to your investor. You should not make them go find their own comps. You want to show them your work, because that's quicker for them to pull the trigger. They don't have to go and do the research. You've done it for them, and then they just need a fact check. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of addresses. Javier, pick one, and then I'll pick one out of state. And I want you all to do the exercise. Then we'll go into exit strategies maybe on Friday. If everybody's available on Friday to do that.
Yes, I am. Jael, can you put the addresses
No, we
in
have an
Slack?
appointment. Yeah, Friday's
okay.
not good for us. We have an appointment.
What about tomorrow? It'll be tomorrow or Monday.
No, no.
It's okay.
Yeah, so our granddaughter has a play. We want to go watch that.
Oh, you can't miss that. So I'm not even mad at that. What about Monday?
I know Monday would work for me.
Monday.
It'll give-
Just checking.
Okay. Because what we can do is give the practice problems, run through those, talk through those, so that we're not rushing this, y'all. And this is going to be something that you develop over time.
This is Marcia. Monday looks good.
Okay, so we'll do exit
Yeah, Monday.
strategies on Monday. And we'll put the recordings in Slack. So if you guys miss when we go over practice problems,
Great.
I just want you to send them to my email.
Mhm.
So that I can see them, and then we'll go over whoever's available to jump on tomorrow and Friday. And if you guys get stuck, that is great because you know where your block is. So that's why I asked you to do it in the exercise. So you could say, "Ooh, I'm having trouble with this part of it," and then we can work through it. Javier, what you think about
Great.
that?
Yeah, no, I think Zillow was a very good exercise. My personal self, I use Redfin. There's no wrong way to do it. I use Redfin because you can pull out the satellite image and you can zoom in on that zip code and you'll be able to see the different lots. So, and then on Redfin, you can also circle neighborhoods and streets that you don't want. And then also you can sort it by highest price to lowest priced. And then I just go down. Because if
Oh,
it's the house,
Javier, show us. Can you show us that? Maybe yeah.
yeah, I'll show you real quick. Yeah.
Zillow used to have like the little circle where you can put it around the neighborhood, but that's how MLS is.
Hey, Javi, can I
Yes.
give you an address you can use?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna put it in it's in the chat. I'm going to send it to you.
And
Okay.
once you get comfortable with one, use that one and look at all the properties on that one. So you're looking at the same type of layout and data so you don't get confused. So if Redfin is your thing or Zillow is your thing, use that.
So, yeah, I'll put that
So
one in the chat.
Zillow works. Zillow in like the Utah area, Colorado area, Zillow, the data is a little skewed, but Redfin works really well. That's the art of this. Different datas have different different
Yes.
locations.
Different tools. So you
Yeah.
got to see what, if you're a visual person, this may work better for you. You may want to do Redfin.
I can't see the chat. Can you just
Yeah, it's
415
go ahead. Yeah.
415?
South Oak Avenue, Owatonna, Minnesota. Owatonna.
Oak Avenue. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type it in on Google because I want to see the layout of the land. Sorry, my computer's like 2015.
You guys haven't noticed Google does everything. Anything you need is there.
All right, well, let's just I don't really need the address. Can somebody tell me how many bedrooms, how many baths, and square footage?
It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and on it. The square footage is, I don't have it in front of me. Trying to think what that was. I got to go back to this paperwork. Sorry. I want to say it's 1,400, but don't quote me on that one. This is a
Okay.
lead that I got
And
in.
the zip code of the address?
Was 55060.
Okay. So if you guys see on my screen, I type in the zip code just like JL does, 55060, and I'm looking at sold. I don't look at anything else. I only do sold data because pending means that the buyer can lose her job the day before closing and it won't close. So only sold data. And I click enter. I haven't even seen the house. So I'm just going to use the data that I got based on the information that I got. So I'm on satellite view. So you can change the map and you can do satellite view. I like satellite view because if you zoom in, you can see like which properties have more lots, which neighborhoods have less lots.
It's actually 1,092 square foot. So
1092 square feet. Okay. And do you know like what region of this city is it? Is it on the south side? I feel like it's down here.
it's on yeah, I don't. That's a good question.
415.
Move this out the way.
South Oak Avenue.
So based off of what you're
Overtone.
looking at and what I'm seeing,
OWATONNA.
Got it.
yeah, it's right there.
So I can tell it's next to downtown. And I just want to see exactly like where this is at.
If you're someone that's good with maps and geography, this is the way to go because you'll see those major roads, you'll see river, you'll see everything.
So I see this highway right here. There's this little river stream. I see this cemetery. This is a restoration. And 218. I'm literally showing you guys how the exact same way that I pull comps.
Okay, there's
And then
the
I see the land. And then I zoom back in, back to the location. So now I know that my comps have to be generally like in this area. I'm not even going to cross this railroad. So now when I do terrain, I'm going to go back to Redfin, right? So the closer you are to the city, the more money you're going to get, right? North Arlington, different price than DC. Woodbridge, different price than DC, right? So same thing applies in any market. Go back to Redfin. Now I know exactly where the house is. Remember, it was like right over here, like right in this area. So I'm gonna.
That is funny. Not a lot of properties are for sale right there.
These are sold properties, right?
Okay,
So
not a
these
lot.
are the properties that sold. Yeah. So they could be that there's a lot that are on the market, but they're just, too high in price. So
Mm.
now I'm going to draw exactly where I want it to be. I don't want to go way down here because I can tell these parcels right here have more lot than
Mhm.
this condensed area. And then over here, I don't know if you see this little square right here, the lot sizes are bigger, maybe more parks to walk your dog, stuff like that. So I'm going to be getting the data just right here.
That's
And
all.
I feel like there's not going to be enough data. So now, as I wait for my laptop to load, because it's a little on the
You
older
got a
side.
lot of data on there.
So I have 14 homes. I think I'm comfortable with 14 homes.
Yeah.
I'm going to the first things first is I'm going to sort this price from highest to lowest because we're finding comps, right?
Mhm.
And then if I have a lot more homes, I can manipulate this data and I could be like, okay, well, this is 3 bedrooms, 1.5. Sometimes county records only show 2 bedrooms, but when we put it on the market, it has an additional bedroom or an office space. So I'm going to start with the bare minimum, 2 bedrooms. And then bathrooms, our subject property has 1.5, but I want to start with 1 because our fully renovated 1 bathroom is a good comp because our property is going to be fully renovated as well. So minimum 2, minimum 1 bathroom, and then I click done. Home type, single family. And the reason I want to do it from the highest to the lowest is because I can physically see if it's the same curb appeal. Because if it's not the same curb appeal, I need to go lower in price. Right? So if our house, I don't even know what the house looks like, but if our house looks like this is 201 that's sold in February. I cannot compare this house to something like this, right? Because it's more square footage. And this little rambler with a garage, I can't compare that house to this cottage right here, right? This house I can compare to this house because they're very similar layout, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. This is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. So I haven't even seen the property, but I know our subject property is 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. So this right here would be a good comp because it's 1,400 square feet. And then I just take a look at the pictures. And this sold April 16.
Really good.
And it's not even dated. I mean, it's outdated or dated. Or yeah, whatever the word is. It's a little not fully up to speed. And you see how like this one sold April. This needs work, right? So if my comp were exactly like this comp, remember, this is Redfin. So this says 2 baths. But like JL was saying is I need to dig deep. I need to look at PropWire and look at maybe 1.5 bath. Or I need to look on Zillow. Maybe Zillow says 1.5 bath, right? Because the data is a little skewed. If the data were 100% accurate, we wouldn't have agents. So the data that's 100% accurate is only for the agents to have access to the MLS in all parts of the world, pretty much. And if I renovate our subject property and this is the exact same square footage and layout, then I know that I could probably push maybe 265 because this sold like 2 weeks ago. Right? And then if I want to push my
Hello,
comps,
I'm currently
I can't push-
unavailable to take your call.
Oh yeah. My comps, I can't push 288 because this is more square footage, much more desirable house. I can tell that the lot's even bigger. This is a small cottage house, 259. It probably looks good on the inside. Sold March 8. So if I look at the pictures, I don't even have to look at the pictures. I already know that this is nicer on the inside.
And look at also, guys, you see the square footage is blank. You got to use Javier's tool for public records. Usually when it's 1,000 square feet or less or right around that area, they have assessor. Assessor means you need to go deep into the public record to get the true amount of square footage. Or this person hasn't had an appraisal in 30 years.
So this is 205. This is 229. Not even looking at the property, guys. I already know that the comps are 230 to 235. And I didn't even take a look at the subject property. So now you need to reverse engineer it. And yes, always, guys, I put it in the group chat, the National Assessor's Office or website. You click on any state in the US and then click to the county. If you don't know the county, just type in the address on Google and say, what county is this? And it'll tell you what county. And then look at the assessment office. And that national website will give you access to any jurisdiction in any county. And you can also, it'll give you like the GIS website. Actually, let me show you guys. That way it's not, so this is it right here.
You know, I'm adding every tool you put in the chat, Javier, to Slack.
Okay. So yeah, my computer's slow, but you get it, right? So yeah, that property, I would comp that at 230, 235. What state was this in? I don't even know what state we're in.
It's in Minnesota. Can I give you a real quick background on this one? Put it in Podio,
Yep.
but and I talked to you about it last week when you were, down here. But
Okay.
this wasn't going to be a creative one. Lease purchase by an investor. He lease purchased it from his sister. He had a renter in there. The renter jumped out, left. Mortgage is still current, but the sister wants to be out of this deal. It's a 60-month lease, but she wants out early. She wants her $40,000. The mortgage balance is 117 currently. It's up to date. And all he wants to do is just get out of it. So it's not going to work as a rental because the rental comps are not enough because the mortgage is $1,100 a month. It can work as a wrap. I came up with an ARV of around 180 to 185 to sell it, on a wrap. Reason I did that, it's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. It's only 1,092 square foot. And what I saw in that market, even though it's saying things are selling at 200, just trying to be conservative, it could work as a wrapper at 180. So it's but the entry fee's too high, right? Because you're gonna have to
So
end up paying $40,000 plus.
I'm gonna do last 6 months so I get more data.
Mhm.
And then I want to see the lower prices. 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. Okay, I see what you're saying. This one's sold for 180. I can't see this one. It's 14. Sold for 185. 1 garage. Does the subject property look kind of like this one?
Yeah, it's got 2 stories. It's got 2
2
floors.
stories, like a bi-level or a split level?
It's
Like,
sort of like a
You
bi
walk
level.
in.
Like
Okay.
kind of like a split, you walk in and then you can go up. So I mean, I actually got it pulled up on my other screen if you want to see it.
Yeah. Go ahead and show us.
Okay. Where did we go? Let me share. Do I got the share capabilities here? Yep. All right. So this picture was taken in the wintertime, of course.
Oh, gotcha. I see it.
But that's the house. That's what it looked like.
It's 2 floors.
Yep. Inside. Now, it doesn't look like this right now. I do have more current pictures. If there was a renter in there, they did some painting, but this is what it was when they bought it. They've only bought it 2 years ago.
Boiler.
And so this doesn't, those are not the most accurate pictures, the up-to-date ones I have. But they did some painting and they redid the kitchen, kept it, normal. So it's moving ready. So, do you see anything else?
No. So the layout of the house is everything, right?
Mhm.
when you're doing comps, apples to apples, we would have to find a comp very similar to that property. And, like we said in the beginning, like if we have to go back in time to
Mhm.
compensate for that price, then that's what we have to do. Because we can't compare this to a Rambler. Completely different house, completely different layout.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's to me, there's only like really one exit strategy on it because the mortgage balance is around 117, like I said.
Mhm.
In the lease, it was a 60-month lease, and when it came to exercise the option at the
Mhm.
end of 60 months, whatever the balance was at that time was to be paid off plus $40,000 to her.
Gotcha.
And so even if we wanted to get it and try to fix and flip it, it wouldn't work. Because what 117.40, you're at 157, 160. If it's only going to sell for 180, then you still got to do a little bit of more work. It's not going to work for that. The rental market was $1,100, and the mortgage is $1,170. So that doesn't work because once you start to add, take away all the fees, the maintenance and all that's taxes and all that stuff, it didn't work. But it could possibly work as a wrap. I didn't look at it as an Airbnb or a short-term rental at all because of it's really not really located close to anything it's got a park close to it and it's close to downtown, but I don't see anything, like a hospital or anything to try to make it something else. So interest rate is good though. So 3.75.
Yeah, the only thing, Barry, is that whenever you're thinking about short-term rental and mid-term rental,
Mm-hmm.
For instance, for Squat Up Summit, I stayed across the street. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna save $200, right? But I didn't realize that I was staying at something substandard, right? So like same thing, right? Like whenever you're staying at a short-term rental or mid-term rental,
Mm-hmm.
in order for your clients to pay top dollar, it needs to be, you know, up to par. The renovations need to be up to par, and that's the thing is like we can put a little bit of money into the property and then fix and flip it, or we can put a good amount of money and fix and flip it. But if you want to do midterm rental and short-term rental, like it's best to have like a nice finished product. Um,
Mhm.
I'm sure you've walked properties where it's, not fully there. The renovation is not fully there,
Yeah.
and you're not going to have the organic turnover ratio clients, even if you do that short-term rental strategy.
Got you. Um, for something like this, I'm kind of at like at a loss of what to do to guide this individual. Uh, because I only see one option. I mean, does anybody else see anything else? Um,
How much do you know how long is owed on that debt?
uh, were you talking about the actual mortgage itself?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 28,
Mm.
maybe 27 years. Let's see here. No, actually they've owned it for 4 years. So was that 26, 20, 25 more years? Okay.
My suggestion would be because typically when it's little to no equity, you can recapitalize the entire debt into a 40-year loan. But you would have to have tenants in there. And not only do you have to have tenants in there, but it needs to be, you know, up to standard. But in this situation, it wouldn't even make sense to do that based on the numbers. I mean, I haven't fully underwritten, but I can already tell that it wouldn't make sense financially.
Right.
My suggestion would be, to put it on the market as a lease, and then get tenants in there and see if they'll repair some of the stuff to move in there. Be like, hey, we'll give you 1 month free rent if you, if you put recessed lights, or if you paint it, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because money needs to go into that property.
Okay. I mean, I'll like I said, I was just trying to help him out, find a buyer or something, but I just, I was like, I don't see anything, any way to do it other than that. And then, as you said, if you do it as a wrap, it would have to be somebody who would put some sweat equity into it,
Mm-hmm.
or you put some money into it and then put it back out there. So, okay.
Would you buy it?
No. Nah, only reason I wouldn't buy it because I don't live in Minnesota and it's cold up there and I don't like cold weather, so it's just not my preference. Because I know they got to do snow. What is that? There's some kind of snow maintenance you got to do up there for the homes, and no.
If this same scenario were in your backyard, would you buy it?
I probably would. And the reason I would is because I would be looking at the long term. The cash flow, it probably wouldn't be there, but I would be looking for the long term investment because it would appreciate over time.
So that's who your end buyer is. Somebody who is looking long term. Because we can't do short term stuff. Quick flip, definitely not the case.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see if I can find one of those up there or somewhere.
The buyers control the market, guys.
Yep.
Not the appraisers, the buyers. Actually, vice versa. The appraisers control the buyers.
Oh. All right.
No, I take that back. It's the buyers, because if the appraiser says a certain price and the buyer has more cash, then the buyer still controls the market.
Makes sense. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Javier, for that. We still haven't been able to connect with that realtor of that house in Florida. She refuses to give us a call back. I'm going to be calling her today because she doesn't have my number, so we can get with her to try to help save this lady. But as soon as I find out, when we all can get on the phone, I will ping you. I know you are really, really busy, but I'll make sure I give you enough leeway so you can get on the phone with us.
Sounds good. Happy to help.
Yep. Cool.
Did everybody get some value today? I think there was lots of nuggets. I learned a lot from Jael myself.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
I think this was a great call. So much information shared. Javier, I'm gonna be using the Redfin strategy now.
No doubt.
I love maps, so
Still.
that was great.
That was good. Y'all got value from this?
Yeah, it was
Make sure you
great.
let us know. Okay, good. I'm glad. Sometimes it can be a little confusing, but I think with practice we'll be great.
Yeah, it was great. This is Marcia and Andy. It was great.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. All right, so Javier and I will put a couple of addresses in. We want to do one that has a cookie cutter type of neighborhood, and then we want to do one that's out of state. So Javier and I will put those addresses in Slack, and then you all can work on them. If you have it done by tomorrow, we'll go over it. If you don't have it done till Friday, that's the deadline. We want to see it from you guys. And then on Monday, we'll go through exit strategies and how to determine what those are. Thank y'all so much. We're going to wrap it up today. I got a 10 a.m. call. Thank you.
Alright,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Everyone.